I seek refuge to Allah from Shaitan Rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. The only one who said this, no one has said it before and after. The late Sheikh Sharia have said. He said the issue of la darar means don't harm yourself and don't harm others. We need to see when it's these no's or negations that we have. We need to see what it means. For example, when it says no prayer without wudu, these no's there's another one is that there is no salah for the one who lives in neighboring a mosque. And there are differences between this no and that no. The second one doesn't mean. So la darar means someone, la hajj, for example, when someone doesn't observe the mash'ar, then he has no hajj. And we need to see when it says la darar, there is no harm. It's not an obligation. La darar is an obligation. But there are cases where it's a permission. It's not obligation. As for la darar, doesn't mean it's haram to do harm to oneself. The only one who said is Mullah Ahmad Naraqi in the Mustanad. He said la darar, no harm, is obligation. So the first principle is prohibition, whereas the thing which is known amongst other scholars are that the first principle is that no, it's a permission, except if there is severe harm, like amputation of limbs, or subjecting oneself to very, very dangerous diseases like cancer and TB. To subject themselves, so they're exposed to diseases like cell and T. And we have in the Quran. So the exemptions are to kill oneself or to amputate limbs of one. But these are the exemptions. So la darar is not prohibition. But because there could be harm, but so that means these are not overall prohibition, but exceptional prohibitions. For example, if someone goes to ruku' or prostration, if it's harmful for themselves, then it only applies to them for those circumstances. So in the old times, for example, people used to travel and they were subjected to dangers and so on. But in the course of that, he makes business, he trades and so on, and he makes profit. So there's no objection to that. These are there are harms which are probably avoidable and or can be dealt with. So this is not the kind of harm which are absolutely prohibited, like there's no objection. Inside Mecca, they can be covered by a roof or something, or even in the path when if they stop for rest and so on, even there it can be covered by a tent or a ceiling. There is no shade that someone, Abu Yusuf, came to Imam Sadiq. He said, "Do you say that? Do you say that tadleel or covering in Mecca is permissible, and in the pathway mid journey is not permissible?" He said yes, and he said the Prophet did something like this when he was in course from Mecca to Medina to Mecca. He didn't cover himself, but in Mecca he did. While traveling, it is not permissible to be covered. But if in the course of the journey you stop for resting and so on, it is permissible to be covered, and also in Mecca when you arrive. Allah made human to be the Khalifa, the Caliph on earth. Of course, that's not prophet, but his duty is to obey his instructions and his religion precisely. So, and one should pray that one get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeks understanding of Allah and the Prophet and the Imam. Yeah, this is a figure of speech. This is in the Quran we have I know what there is inside me, but I don't know what there is inside you. This is a figurative speech. When one performs the ihram for Hajj Tamattu', when they should do tawaf, and then he goes to Arafah. There are some narrations which say it's permissible. Some narrations say it is not permissible. In all scholars, past and present, you don't find even 10 who say that. If this problem that I'm going to mention don't exist, then so if we say if the ones that we say it's not permissible, we should treat it as makruh, and otherwise if we want to apply this, then the other ones, which means become haram, but it's not the case. So the same people who narrated these, like Kuleni and so on, who narrated these riwayah, they said it's not permissible. So this is something external. There was something specific for specific individuals. They've said this thing. So these riwayat which say it is permissible, these are for specific occasions or individuals. If you find someone who says that turning away from this is doesn't invalidate the problem, then let me know. So someone was saying that this is difficult to do, then from point of view of not to be subjected to harm, then it's permissible. This notion of la darar or no harm, it can be is expanded to covers other areas. Sometimes you have the elderly and so on, or weak, and at that time it's very busy when they return. So from the point of view of not to be subjected to harm, then they said it's okay, this is permissible. If there is possibility that one may die, then it's not even permissible. It's haram to do so. In this respect, the principle of ladar may be applied, which is cases when it would be a bit of hardship for the individual. This will be considered ladar, or the principle of ladar will be applied to it. These narrations have there are simple ones. For example, there is a hadith which says Ali is the best of the people, the best of creation. So it doesn't mean he's better than the Prophet. This is called Hasr Idafi. This means it means he is best of all people other than the Rasulullah sallallahu. Because there is no doubt that Rasulullah, the Prophet, is better than Ali alayhi salam. There is no doubt about that. The Prophet is a prophet. Prophet Muhammad is a prophet, but Ali is not a prophet, but he's a successor of the Prophet. There's no objection in the state of ihram for men, or some people have said it, for women as well. This thing which covers the feet, the shoes that cover the feet, if they want to perform sujood, then there is no objection to that. Just as they wear socks, they are wearing that particular kind of shoes. Perhaps it's not shoes, but the other term should be used for it. I do not know of any jurist who is given a fatwa in this respect. The principle of maysour, which is to make it easy for the people. If the Prophet has said, or the Imam has said that in absolute terms, that you should point and do this, that means everything else is not wajib. And if we have some narrations in this, if we say that this is an absolute term, that this is wajib, then everything else is not wajib. This maysour, when it says that you should prostrate to perform sajda on 7 points, so if he can't, this is maysour that is well known among scholars, and there are 3 narrations about it, and all of 3, they do not have a chain of narrators, and they have it's well known among scholars, and there is very rare that a scholar or a jurist doesn't accept the principle of maysour. They don't accept maysour completely. There are 7 categories, 6 or 7 categories, such that one becomes confident that the maysour principle may be applied. It is very rare to say that there is no such thing in Islam. Absolutely. You probably from the time of Ghayb al-Sughra until now, I don't think in the hundreds of scholars you don't have 10 scholars who would say that. But this should be applicable, the issue of maysour. For example, so for someone who performs sujood and he can't put his toes on the foot, but he can put his knees or he can put one hand on the floor, but he can't put the other one. This is maysour. This is accepted. If only in circumstances when he can't put any part of his body on the floor, on the ground, then it is said he points and performs the sujood. If one is sure that this has come from such and such, there's no objection to that. If both parties have heard the same thing, for example. It's possible that if we have, amongst the Shia sources, if we have narrations in this respect, maybe we need. There is a probability for that. There's no objection to that. All the debts, whether khums or zakah, or the kafara, or the fidya compensation, and diya, and mar, they are all considered debts. The Quran says, when it talks about inheritance, it says after whatever will the deceased has made and the debts. So and the will of the deceased goes from the third. Also, the cost of Hajj, if he hasn't performed Hajj, whether he mentioned it in his will or not, it should come out of the inheritance. And after that, whatever remains from the inheritance is divided. Also, dowry is part of the debt. In the case of Hajj, yes, the definition of harm is wide and expanse. La darar is a permission, it's not an obligation. If for instance, one's feet is injured or so on in the course of riding, this doesn't apply. La darar, no harm, it doesn't apply. This in fact is good. He will be rewarded even more. And we have the imams who used to walk from Medina to Mecca, and they used to have their feet swollen or injured. But it's not. It shouldn't. Death or amputation of limbs or being subjected to dangerous diseases, these three shouldn't be. These are covered by la darar, no harm. But other than these three categories, anything else is not considered a harm. If the husband dies and he hasn't given the dowry of his wife, if he has, it doesn't have to be cash. If he has a house or an orchard, or it is mandatory on all heirs, not the eldest, not only the eldest son. If one have a condition, then you can send someone to perform Hajj on your behalf. If you can go without being subjected to severe harm, then go. For example, if you go to certain places and your condition worsens or your allergy worsens, then you can take someone attorney on your behalf to perform the thing in for those locations. But if you can't do any of these, then you should take someone. You should send someone to perform Hajj on your behalf. Sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tahir.
وبطوع جلالك سائرة شمس قمر فلك زهر وبطوع جلالك سائرة شمس قمر فلك زهر فوضت قضاء الكون على ما شئت ويتبعها القدر فوضت قضاء الكون على ما شئت ويتبعها القدر ما شئت ويتبعها القدر